I think I've lost it. It's on a hard drive somewhere. This is a 7-year-old video that I've found anyway. This is a celebration. I finished an 8-year-long project on Gail's mammoth constipation in the Prophecy Club, regurgitation of garbage. Finished it, out of the way, moving on with my life. So let's have a little bit of fun. Right? Cool. Whew. Take a breath, take a deep breath. In this episode, she's going to explain. No, she's not. She's going to point out the fact that my pocket interlinear of the New Testament is evil. That biblical Hebrew step by step is demonic. The Greek English lexicon is satanic. My Greek New Testaments are Luciferian in nature, created by the devil. The Old Testament in Hebrew comes straight out of the pits of hell itself. In the Greek grammar, which I can't show because it's green. Check that out. Yeah. In the interlinear Bible, Hebrew, Greek, English, cost me $100 back in the day. Demonic, straight from the river of Styx that runs through hell itself. Hell awaits itself a heaven, by the way. And my newer interlinear, this one cost me $40. There's a Christian bookshop in Hillsborough that sells used Christian books, where I got all these bargains from. I got the most amazing book ever, which I won't talk about until I find it. Some guy devoted their whole life to doing one thing with the New Testament, which I will get into later. Not important. Let's go into watching her about how all lexicons, dictionaries, phone books, almanacs are basically just satanic. Why not?
What if one hot-selling Amazon product could replace...
I don't know. What if hot-selling Amazon product...
I don't have that problem where I have to stand up and teach.
Right. Shh. Gail's talking. Can you turn her up, please? Nope.
I understand the problem with the Strong's Concordance and the things like that, and I've got a Zodiates transliterated.
Well, of course Strong's Concordance is evil. It's got the satanic Greek and Hebrew lexicon in it. And the Strong's numbers are all 666.
And I can look sometime at his notes and say, well, you don't know what you're talking about. But how do you reconcile, or how do you go to
the
somewhere
number of the beast?
Jewish custom where you see something like the parable of the lost coin or something?
Well, if you're not part of the cult, then you can go to a bookstore and buy the book that I've got. It's called A Jewish Context of the New Testament. Jewish context. Oh my God, I can't word. The New Testament in the context of the Jewish Old Testament. It's a brilliant book. Well worth reading, but remember, this is a cult. You can't read the NIV, lexicons, phone books, dictionaries, almanacs, what's your favourite one? Thesauruses. They're all satanic. Come on, get with it.
You don't really know the significance of that lost coin unless you know what the Jewish traditions and customs.
Well, leave the cult and then you'll find out the answer to the question you're asking. You're asking Gail Riplinger a question. Fuck.
Are. Is there a book or an author you can recommend that you can kind of read and alongside that so you can understand that a little better? You know,
Gail's
I don't know. I would be amiss to go outside the Bible.
She would become a mist, an etherical mist to go outside the Bible. Can you English, Gail?
There's so much in there. When we're outside, we don't know if it's true or not. Do you know what I'm saying?
We don't trust those lexicanographers translators, they're all devils in disguise. Devil inside.
Inside the Bible,
Devil
we know it's
inside.
true. So I would be more inclined to say something that I knew was true than something that all these
Every
things say, well, they
single one
did
of
this and
us
they did that. When you start
devil
looking back at
inside.
who wrote these books,
Who wrote this book? Little and Scott. Little and Scott wrote it. It's on their name's on the cover, Gail. You don't have to theorize that the earth is flat because the name's on the cover and their qualifications are on page 3. So they went to blah blah college and studied blah blah for so many years, and wow, that's it. That's all you have to do is pick up the book, Gail.
and you started. I'm writing a new book. The new book I'm working on is called The Language of the Bible. But it's going to have a
The language of the Bible. You don't know Greek, Hebrew, Coptic, Syriac. What's my new favorite? Aramaic. Aramaic. Subarch, Mimic, Old Latin, Old Syriac. You don't know the languages, so how can you write a book about the languages of the Bible?
section called The Language of the Devil in it. And I'm doing a history of the lexicon. And most
The history of the lexicon. This one's different than the last year before it because they found some more Plato and redefined the word. Therefore, people that redefine words in the Greek due to new discoveries of new papyrus are evil. Cool. Just everybody's sacked, are they? You're just going to fire the whole world.
Most people don't realize the Greek lexicons that everyone uses, open it up and say, well, the King James is wrong, the word says this.
No, this is so stupid. Gail, sit down. After the King James was compiled in 1611, they dug up the Dead Sea Scrolls and hundreds of papyri in Alexandria in Egypt. Therefore, they update definitions due to defining the words more accurately.
Well, I'm tracing the history of these Greek and Hebrew lexicons, and I have found that the definitions have changed. If you look at,
That's what their job is. That's what they get paid to do, Gail. Can you Gail, can you human?
a Greek or a Hebrew,
Oh, God.
from 1600s, when the King James translators wrote. It says what the King James Bible said.
Probably because the King James translators wrote that concordance or lexicon. They compiled it while they were compiling the 6 manuscripts behind the King James Bible. Just a thought.
1700s, the Unitarians
Facts? Why are you trying to bring facts into this? Come on.
started getting in there. The Transcendentalists
You're
started getting
insane.
in. Well, they changed it.
I missed that.
Hundreds,
Sorry.
when the King James translators wrote. It says what the King James Bible said. 1700s, the Unitarians started getting in there. The Transcendentalists started getting in. Well,
The Transcendentalist movement started translating Bibles in English from Hebrew and Greek. Have you got any proof? What am I saying?
they changed it.
What the
In
hell?
the 1800s, they changed it again. It got progressively. Well, how did this Greek word that is in this frozen Koine, because no one speaks Koine, how did this
It's not frozen, Gail. There's a thing called a spade, Gail, and they dig up manuscripts week after week after year, and they say, hey, this needs to change a little because we're redefining the word, because we've found in this manuscript it means slightly something a bit more narrower. Do you know how to human, Gail?
Greek word all of a sudden get a new definition, a secularized
That's their job.
definition? Well, no one has
Fuck's
these old
sake.
lexicons anymore to read this. So I started reading the history of the lexicon. How did this Greek word all of a sudden get a new definition, a secularized definition? Well, no one has these old lexicons anymore.
They're all available online, Gail. Do you internet? Do you internet? You can go to archive.org, and if you want an older copy of Little and Scott's lexicon, you can. But why? Because the previous ones are outdated compared to the new ones. That's how you're human.
More to read this. So I started reading the history of the lexicon, and I found that
you can't read the history of a lexicon. There's no discipline called the study of the history of lexicons. For fuck's sake.
There was this great revolt. Are we or are we not going to use quotations from philosophers, pagans? And they had
Plato, Homer, Plutarch. They include them these days because it gives a broader or narrower definition of the original meaning during the Roman Empire of the Greek language. But if you go back to Plato, it's the Greek Empire, Macedonian Empire, with the Greek there that slightly changed when the Roman Empire came along. People get paid to study this shit, Gail.
Never used them until about 1725. Then they started using these quotes from pagans. When you start using quotes from pagans,
why don't you just say Homer's Iliad or Homer's Odyssey, which is what they're using, not pagan what?
You know, it says to the Greeks foolishness. So the most
what says to the Greeks foolishness? What?
Brilliant Greek philosopher, the things of God are foolishness to him. So we're going.
That's why Aristophanes figured out the circumference of the round earth. The earth isn't flat, it's actually round. Are you ready to come out of the dark ages?
We're going to go look at these pagan authors and see what they believed, about things. So
they were pagans, but they figured out stuff.
So, I don't know. I don't have that problem where I have to stand up and teach all the time. So I think
There, one fact out of this video. She doesn't teach facts. She just said it. She doesn't have to stand up and teach because she doesn't teach. I've just been through 2.5 hours of her talking with 3 facts. Be honest. 2.5 hours, she brought up 3 facts. One was her name.
If I did have a problem writing stem maybe I'd go and start getting other things. I don't know.
Oh, that's the end of that. Thanks, Gail. You're the most qualified person on the planet to discuss the inerrancy of lexicons, dictionaries, phone books, thesauruses, maps. Bye.